In the United States, President Joe Biden will deliver a State of the Union address tonight. He will announce plans to help Americans navigate inflation, but is also expected to keep the focus on Ukraine, addressing the urgent need to defend democracy around the world. Washington has announced a new round of economic sanctions, this time targeting Russia's central bank. The State Department also revealed it's going after the money and assets of those closest to the Russian president.
In support of Ukraine's urgent humanitarian needs, we announced the additional provision, as I'm sure you saw, of nearly $54 million in humanitarian assistance to those affected by the Russian government's invasion. This additional assistance, jointly provided by the Department of State and the U.S. Agency for International Development, will enable international humanitarian organizations to further support the people of Ukraine. We are going to identify, we are going to hunt down and freeze the assets of Russian companies and oligarchs. We are going to hunt down their yachts. We are going to hunt down their mansions. Any other ill-gotten gains that we can find and freeze under the law. No longer will they be able to operate with impunity in the West. No longer will they be able to invest their ill-gotten gains in other jurisdictions. Their ability to send their children to boarding schools around the world. These are all things that we are going to go after very aggressively together with our allies and partners.
To look ahead to President Biden's State of the Union speech, we're going to cross live and join our US Correspondent Rotimi Kade. Rotimi, I want to say thank you very much for joining us here on Newsday. Now, it appears Ukraine will feature heavily in tonight's speech by the president. Talk to us about that.
Well, Aaron, the president is expected to actually use a portion of his time to actually address the crisis right now in Ukraine, especially when it comes to how the Ukrainians have been able to stave off the aggression from the Russians. Save for the support that the U.S. has given them and also the allies also. Currently, the U.S. has actually given Ukrainians government, some military support and humanitarian support in the tune of over $50 million. And the president will also be using that opportunity to also say that the sanctions that have been meted to Russians so far is actually paying off. Just yesterday, the economy is tanking. The foreign exchange has gone below the normal, what is actually expected. The stock exchange has also plummeted. So some of the buying powers of the Russian economy is actually at the very lowest since the World War. So right now, the president will definitely want to be touting that there's progress that's being made, in that direction. But also, the president will be assuring the United States Congress that the resultant effects that this may have on the economy of the country may not be as it may not be as may not be as damaging as is expected. For instance, when you talk about the gas prices in the country, obviously is going to go much more than expected. Currently, people are crying that the gas prices has not been this high in the last 10 years or so. But this crisis obviously may exacerbate that.
Meanwhile, it seems like this inflation issue is a huge headache for Joe Biden. And, with this war in Ukraine, it's clearly not helping much.
Yes, it's not helping. Just as I said earlier, Ukraine and Russia, they're suppliers of, fuel to the United States. Obviously, that is not going to be as a result of what's going on right now. So it's expected that the United States will tap into its reserves, but the reserve is not going to last for too long. So there must be a sort of an ingenious way of trying to navigate the economy through that. But nonetheless, the president has said it, that this will definitely affect the prices in gas stations. It also affects the food prices. And that has been the biggest headache of the administration, because the approval rating just shows that Biden's approval rating has, been at the lowest since he assumed office, about 43%. In fact, some polls actually show that the job approval rating has dipped to at least 37%. So that would definitely be a major issue that the president will be willing to address. Hopefully, is going to gain the support of the people going forward.
Rotimi, so where do Americans stand on the Ukraine invasion? Is there any appetite for U.S. involvement in this war at all?
Well, absolutely not. I think the president has said that the U.S. would not put boots on the ground in Ukraine to fight against the Russians. I think the only caveat here is if Russia's actually proceed with the invasions to NATO nations, which the U.S. said every inch of NATO soil will be defended. I think that's the only time that the U.S. is most likely going to get themselves involved in this war. Already about more than 7,000 troops of the United States Navy have already been situated somewhere in Poland and some surrounding NATO nations, just in case Russia moves past Ukraine. But most likely there've been a lot of negotiations that's been going on just to stave off this escalating, wars that hopefully will stop in the borders of Ukraine.
All right, I want to say many thanks to you, Rotimi Kade, reporting from New Jersey. Thank you very much for your time today on News.